Friends, it's been 15 months and the situation has only gotten worse. We're talking about terrorist entities actually gaining ground, actually becoming more dangerous, not only to other countries, but even to the United States itself. We're going to be walking through kind of some of the stuff that we're seeing out there that is reinforcing once again that a terrorist insurgency has a lot more power than people are giving it credit for. And one of our major allies out there is realizing that in real time. We got a lot to talk about. Let's jump right into it. Welcome to the Poplar Report. I'm Steve Poplar. I'm an accountant by trade, and I am in India right now, southern India. We're about to take a long trip over across the mountains and to work in another area shortly in the next day or two. And so this is, near and dear to my heart. India has dealt with a lot of terrorist entities over the years, mostly related to the Pakistan issue. But what we're talking about today is actually over in Israel. They just signed this Gaza peace deal. And it is having some good effects out there that not only is Hamas stepping down, as is the treaty, right? But more than that, we're also seeing the Houthis are also stopping their attacks on ships and attacks in general on Israel. So the Houthis are stepping down, the Hezbollah has stepped down up in the north, and Hamas is also stepping down. But once this, even before this thing was signed and approved, we started seeing Hamas coming out of the ground. Now, they've dug so many tunnels and underground structures underneath buildings in Hamas-controlled Gaza that it's been, over the past 15 months, Israel has been hitting every target they possibly can with their Air Force. They have been doing ground incursions. They've been invading. They've been doing everything they can to find any of these tunnels, destroy the tunnels, to go into these tunnels, to flood these tunnels. They've tried everything, right, for 15 months. And Israel is a military that most people would consider to be on par or somewhere in the vicinity of the United States military's capabilities. This is a modern Western country's military against an insurgency that barely has enough weapons to make rockets and such. And yet, we saw in the last 24 hours, Hamas coming out with thousands and thousands of their fighters coming up onto the surface, coming out into the open, and showing that they not only have weapons, they have vehicles, they have their Hamas leadership intact in some cases. This is very different than what we've been told by Israel. Israel has been telling us about how they've decimated Hamas, that Hamas is almost non-existent anymore, and yet now suddenly we're seeing Hamas on the streets in uniforms with weapons and clearly controlling the streets. Their police force seems relatively intact. This is raising a lot of questions, not only for people in the West, but people inside Israel. People inside Israel have been getting all this from their government that they were just decimating Hamas. And yet, there it is, seemingly none the worse for the wear. Hamas coming out almost, in some ways, seemingly victorious. And this is really going to underscore to the world, and you should be taking notes too, that a determined, armed, and organized resistance amongst a friendly population is not easily extinguished or defeated. We've seen this in the Russians when they went into Afghanistan. We saw this when the Americans went into Afghanistan. The Americans fought for 20 years against the Taliban. Well, who's in control of Afghanistan right now? So apparently we missed a few. We missed a few of them because the Taliban are running the country. They managed to destroy the American-backed Afghan national government and took over almost as fast as the United States military took over from the Taliban. That's about how fast the Taliban took over from the Afghan National Army. So we've seen Russia fail in Afghanistan. We've seen America fail in Afghanistan. We've seen America fail in Iraq. And if you say, we didn't fail in Iraq, well, who's running Syria right now? And before you start throwing a bunch of letters and names and everything like that, let me just answer it for you. The guys that fought against American troops in Iraq, those are the people running Syria right now. The guy running Syria right now fought against American soldiers in Iraq. So that kind of answers that question. We did not destroy, we did not degrade, we did not end ISIS, we did not stop Al-Qaeda because Al-Qaeda is running Syria right now. And most of the people there are also kind of ISIS kind of guys too. So we're seeing that again and again, and now Israel in Gaza has failed to stomp out this insurgency, has failed to actually break up this network that was under their feet. And this is very concerning for us. We have brought in so many people into the United States that you could almost call some of these cities friendly populations to cartels, criminal gangs, even terrorists. They're able to hide inside the United States because there are enough people in the United States that ally themselves and think of themselves more aligned to these political movements than they do to the United States of America. This is a serious call to be aware of, but also, if ever necessary, to make use of. We have the Second Amendment in the United States for a reason, and that is, and some people keep poo-pooing that as if like, oh, well, that's just dumb, that's just silly. Well, that's basically what the people in Gaza had. They weren't even allowed to import those boomsticks or anything like that. But they did not have access to the kind of weaponry that the United States does. They also had a lot of restrictions. And when you start looking at how they were able to stand up to the Israeli army, Israeli military, Israel suffered significant casualties. And when you look at the kind of weapons that Hamas was using, they weren't using sophisticated stuff for the most part. So we saw the Taliban in Afghanistan using basic boomsticks against the U.S. military successfully. We saw them use it against the Russians relatively successfully. We saw the folks in Iraq fighting back against the U.S. Military might relatively successfully with just boomsticks and basic weapons. And then we go to Israel now in Gaza, and we see a very similar story has played out. We're now seeing the effects of that. Just like in Vietnam and other places where the U.S. military has gone in and done shock and awe and all this kind of stuff, military might doesn't accomplish nearly what we've been told. And there are limits to the capabilities of weapons. And bunkers, hiding underground, is still surprisingly effective. And you're able to hide and hide for a long time. And the more sophisticated the underground structures are, the longer you can hide underground. And Hamas did that very effectively apparently. And I mean, the fact that they were able to keep vehicles and everything like that underground, they were able to hide these things. And so the Israeli military was not able to find these people. They were not able to find these weapons. And Hamas was able to replace a lot of its losses over time. That even though they had losses, they were able to recruit, train up, and to replace those losses because of the friendly population that they were embedded inside. So this has major national security implications for the U.S., our allies, and definitely for Israel. What we've been told for a long time, just not the case. 15 months of sustained combat operations in Gaza and did not eradicate Hamas. Maybe did a lot of damage to the Hamas network. It's hard to say. But we've been getting all of this information from Israel, and it's not jiving with what we're seeing coming out of those tunnels inside Gaza. Now, we do have that great news that the Houthis have stopped fighting as well. The Houthis have gone silent. They've stopped attacking shipping. They are going to stop sending missiles into Israel. And I've shared this before, that you need to be prepared, because I think that Israel is probably going to launch a long-range airstrike into Iran. And that's going to be a game changer. And they probably won't do it without President Trump's approval, or at least warning him of that. And I think that Trump is going to want to assist in some way with the United States military, which means this could be the popping off of World War III. If Iran launches strikes back against U.S. military bases in the Middle East, that could be a big deal. We definitely have not seen this type of escalation in a very long time. So since the ending of Soleimani, that has not been something we've seen. So we're kind of holding our breath, waiting for that may happen. Donald Trump is just getting settled into the Oval Office. I don't know about you guys. I feel a lot more secure with him there, as opposed to us just not having a president, which has been disconcerting. And I am still surprised that China didn't take more advantage of the situation than it did. And even they're out there praising Donald Trump on TikTok and in other fashions. President Xi just came out the other day and said that he really thinks that there's a possibility for peace and prosperity for both of our nations, which is very different than anything he's ever said to President Biden. And we're going to keep kind of watching that situation develop between President Trump and President Xi of China. We're going to continue to watch what's happening in the Middle East. But appreciate all of you guys with your Watchmen updates, letting us know what you guys are seeing out there. And we're gonna keep watching what happens in Gaza in the coming future. See some indications there of what's going to happen with Hamas. And I think we're going to have to watch and see what happens with the cartels inside the United States and the organized crime gangs inside the United States that Donald Trump has said he's going to open a campaign against. We've already seen that he's declared a national emergency on the southern border and said that he's going to deploy troops there to repel invaders. What that means just yet is unclear. Is he going to send support personnel to help the Customs and Border Patrol, again, where it's just basically uniformed soldiers that are going to go do logistics for Customs and Border Patrol? Or is he actually going to send troops with boomsticks down to the border to stop people from coming across? that's a situation that we're going to have to see as it plays out in the coming days. There will be news reports coming out on that as to which way we're looking at right now. That's a big deal. Are we going to see an insurgency break out in the United States due to cartels or gangs inside the U.S.? All right, friends, like I said, we'll keep you updated. I got a lot of stuff happening over here, and I'm dead tired. I had an awesome day out there training pastors again today. Just people just seeing what we're doing for the first time and just being blown away by it. The testimonials that we had from people who just learning to study their Bible for the very first time for themselves instead of just listening to others. And people just seeing the power of some of the models of ministry that we're doing. I've talked about that a little bit on the Bible channel before, but we talk about, we train pastors and leaders to do Bible studies where it's not just one person telling everyone else, but rather they're discussing it together. So if you've ever been part of a small group Bible study inside the United States or in a Western country, small group Bible study facilitation kind of material, that's kind of what we're training these folks for. But nobody in India has ever used anything like that before, as best we can tell. They've never seen it. They've never heard anything like it. So it is very unique. Not reinventing the wheel, but teaching something that's very powerful and useful to people who have not heard it and not used it. It's a powerful tool in ministry for Bible study and for small groups to kind of build relationships with each other. So that's what I'm doing over here. I will be heading back in the near future, but got some stops along the way. Got some more trainings that we're going to be doing in the coming days. So stay tuned on that. We'll keep you updated on that. All right, friends, thanks so much for watching. If you want to check out another video from this channel, there's one right up here. I'll see you over there, or I'll see you guys later. Steve Poplar of the Poplar Report, out.